Yeah, welcome back to Shotgun the Orcs podcast. Today we are joined by singer, songwriter, producer, Brighton-based KIANVSLIFE. How are you doing, man?
Very good, very good.
Welcome to the
Kind of
podcast.
tired, but good. Yes, thank you very much, man. Cheers.
You tired, man? What you been up to?
Just making people's, mixing and mastering people's EPs, albums, LPs. Still working on Who Sold My Soul quite religiously. Working on Nettoed stuff. And yeah, like it's been really nice. Like it's good, but it just makes the brain very tired. Do you know what I mean?
I can imagine, man. And firstly, I said it before we recorded, but shouts to Offie Mag for putting you onto my radar, man. I'm a fan. I've got to say, like I've been listening to your tracks kind of religiously for the past week or so, and
much appreciated.
By the time this drops, your EP will be out, Lady Jasper. So for those listening who may not know, do you want to talk a little bit about who KIANVSLIFE is as an artist?
Yeah, basically, I tried to be, I don't know, just, I came up from, playing in a band, playing in so many, like trying to express my music in so many different ways that it finally came down to just me in the end of the day, you know what I mean? And then it became even more me and then more me. And then, you know when you feel so alone, but you're working so damn hard. So it's like, it's being alone isn't too bad all the time if you're using it productively, using your time productively. And like there was a lot of things that life threw at me for the past 4 years, growing up. Like it's just been very a lot of trials and tribulations to do, you know what I mean? A lot. So it's it's just basically like KIANVSLIFE means like that I'll pursue no matter what life throws at me. You know what I mean? And that kind of, I don't know how cheesy that sounds. But
No, I rate that, man. I was going to say that's kind of my interpretation, but I didn't want to kind of like speculate without having that definitive answer.
I'm glad that's your interpretation because like I'm hoping people see that as well because, some people might, I don't know, think it's like pretentious or something, but I don't see life like that. I see it as something beautiful, that everybody, like my mate is saying now, it's like everyone can be versus life, but versus the trials of life. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. And I think what you said before kind of resonates with a lot of people, the kind of sense of isolation that's kind of like thematic throughout a lot of your music that I've heard. And especially this year, man, it must have been kind of a good time for you to kind of develop as an artist, having all that kind of downtime, especially like the early like beginning of 2020 with lockdown, etc.
I mean, it scared the hell out of me, man. I was one of those people that, got a bit paranoid. So I was really, and I was in Milton Keynes at the time. I wasn't in Brighton because my parents lived down there. I went to go see them and then the lockdown happened there. And over there is a lot less relaxed than here. So it was crazy. It made me think about like death a lot. It actually made me like think about the name that I chose for, KIANVSLIFE, like, because I must admit at first, versus life, I was like, fuck those things that happened to me. Fuck this, you know what I mean? Like you get very, I let go of that anger when all of this Corona stuff started happening because I was like, I really need to start appreciating everything that's happening around me, everybody that's trying to help me. That was my problem when I was a bit younger. Like I would neglect help. I don't know why. I would just prefer to do things, my way or not listen enough. But really taking on board like everything from January that people have been, the team, Pool Valley, my homies, predominantly my homies, like just always being there behind my back, like telling me like, if I have ideas, like I don't get too worked up about it if it's not popping off. Do you know what I mean? And really like, it's my homies that tell me, people say like, oh yeah, you don't get famous for your friends. But at the same time, when you're not famous, it's like your friends, if they're really your true friends, they're going to tell you if it's shit. You know what I mean? And that's really good. That's a really good thing. If like, and not necessarily shit, but shit in the caliber of you. You know what I mean? They look at me and they go, Kian, like you've released this before. I know you can make this. So this that you've made now doesn't actually sound that good compared to all of this stuff. I mean, it's good, but I want to hear better. And that kind of hearing these things, and yeah, like the whole Corona thing happening, and it was crazy. It's like as you said, that whole development of being I started realizing, like, why does my music need to exist? You know what I mean? Like, as a producer, you think, I'll make any beat, I'll do it all. But as an artist, like, especially producing other artists and looking at the way they tackle things, sometimes they're very tunnel visioned into what they want. And I started really admiring that. That was something that was really difficult for me. I loved every genre. I can't tell you a genre that I hate. And it's something that is a challenge for me, you know what I mean? So, like, yeah, to give you the longest answer ever. Yeah, that was sorry,
no, man. No, I rate that, man.
Yeah.
I think it's like the hardest thing to do as a person is grow. Do you know what I mean? And to have that kind of self-realization that, you know, I
You're
can
right.
now
It's the
start.
hardest thing for a human to do is to grow. It's true, and it unfortunately, it happens every flipping second. Like, do you know what I mean? Every encounter you have, every experience that I have, like creating a song, like I grow from that incredibly. Like, sometimes I put all my eggs in one basket, and it's just like it doesn't turn out the way you want, but you grow from it. You know.
Exactly, man, and it's the little things as well, like accepting help from others, and you know, letting your mates be there for you, and that, because, you know, the real ones are going to stick around. But no, man, I know obviously it's apparent that you have a lot of you know, a multitude of influences across different genres. Because I mean, just listening to what I've heard so far, I hear a lot of kind of, you know, it's a nice hybrid of R&B. You got hip hop. You got, I think you cite some of your influences as like Odd Future. Steve Lacy as well. I rate that guy, man. That Deep Red is my jam. I fucking rate that guy. I hear about a bit of Thundercat in there as well.
Oh, of course.
Do you know what I mean?
It's funny how you said Odd Future first, because oh my god, man, I grew up with them, man. Like they I was like, what, like 15 and they had released, like, I think they released when I was like 13, 14, but I finally heard of them when I was like 15, 16, something like that. And Lord Almighty, it just gave me the whole like DIY. At first, I was like, how are they getting these ideas? You know what I mean? But then it was Odd Future. There was one of the main ones that like proved to me that like music isn't everything that has been. Do you know what I mean? It can be something completely new. It can be like whatever, but it's just got to work. You've got to work it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. That's making me feel old now, man. I think I was 22 when Yonkers dropped. Fucking
really? Hell. Yeah, I was a little younger. Just a little younger. Yeah.
Yeah, man, crazy.
But
yeah,
it was crazy when it came out. You know, the impact Tyler had with Odd Future was crazy, and that it's something that I've carried with me. You know, like one thing they did was clothing as well. Like something that I've been doing a lot is looking at some like clothing that's going to be coming out a lot after, you know, a few projects are out. After this Lady Jasper project, like we're going to be seeing some clothes.
Yeah, man. Golfway, and they got the festival as well, like Flognord as well. He's killing it with like marketing and stuff. But he's gone on a weird trajectory, hasn't he? Like he started off being this real kind of you know, rebellious like kid with ADHD, and now he's just,
yeah. I don't feel like the rebellious gone though. You know,
it's not, but it's almost given him the kind of platform to kind of do what he wants. Do you know what I mean? Like he's come out and he's saying some really like, you know, controversial stuff, and now it's just like,
it's strange. You would think it's the opposite way around with the music he's making. It's like the music he's making is, but the thing is, it shows his like you'd think the music he's making now was the stuff to break it, and now he can do whatever the hell he wants, so he does crazy stuff. But it doesn't work like that. It's the proof right there that, you know, artists always start out whatever's in their head, they just throw it to the wall. Hopefully it sticks. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's what he did. I can't speak for him, but like that's what I did. Do you know what I mean? And refining, going over it. That's the process. Do you know what I mean? And you can hear that in Tyler the Creator. Do you know what I'm saying? You can hear that because compare like an Odd Future album, you know, Volume 2 or something, compared to like Igor, like the refined. Yeah. It both are great in their own ways, but it's the refinedness of Igor that like you can hear that like he couldn't have come up with that all them years ago. Do you know what I mean? So, and that's that growth. That's that. You know what I mean? And
man, it's all coming back. It's all coming back to growth. So I mean, you've talked a bit about kind of producing. So kind of alluded that you've produced for people before you did your own thing as a solo artist. Are you kind of self-taught with music and all of that kind of stuff? Do you have very musical backgrounds, or is it something you fell into later?
My family, they're big music lovers. My mom and dad don't really play music, but they're from Persian culture, Iranian culture. They're both Iranian. And music is a big thing in my family. My grandparents played, and like they made me play piano when I was a kid, and I don't know if I loved it or not until about 15, and then I started loving it. You know what I mean? It was like, all right, I have to do this because my mom tells me to. But then I started like understanding that, you know, you can make your own. I wish I understood earlier. That was one thing. And that was obviously, you know, being like growing up with like a traditional, you know, Middle Eastern family, this and that. Like my dad wasn't a hippie. Do you know what I mean? He didn't listen to Black Sabbath and AC/DC. He listened to classical music. So it wasn't like I didn't understand until I went and found it myself. You know what I mean? I really went out there and I like the age of 15, I started finding like I started, you know, the music I listened to predominantly before the age of 15 was just everything going on in my school. You know, my homies, T.I., Lil Jon, that was the flex, Fat Joe, you know,
Yeah, man.
Paul Wall, Kanye West, early days. Like it was great.
Paul Wall, damn, man.
But throwback, huh? Throwback, bro. Crazy.
Grills. Well, yeah, man. I just remember that.
Grills, yeah, that was the song. Grills. Yeah. But anyway. My mate is laughing at it. But yeah, so it was. Sorry, I've sidetracked to what Paul Wall just made me.
Throwing off kilter, man.
Yeah, so at the age of 15, like finding these like rock bands and stuff, you know, it was crazy for me because I was understanding like, wait. I was so young and naive. I was like, wait, this music is amazing. Like, there's so much. There's so many different ways. And you know, through listening to different music, you find different friends. It goes hand in hand. You're in different places at different times, so you meet different people that enjoy those things too. You know what I mean? It's so important. Music is such a big part of that shit, man. Like socializing. And yeah, and through that, like finding different friends from my old school friends. Like I kind of just ditched my old school. Like not my friends really, but that school I really wanted to get, my secondary school I wanted to get away from. And that really just got me into a whole different flex of music. Like finding out, like I understand, I'm proud to say I know what rock and roll is and I love it. You know what I mean? Like I love blues, I love all that stuff. And I've studied it, I've learned it, I appreciate it, and I always try to incorporate these things, if not in a record, to appreciate, you know, what's modern, but live. Do you know what I mean? Live performances, you can always start blending in different aspects, you know, with your soloing, with your improvising, anything like that, and working with musicians. I always like working with like the band I'm working with now. They're so open-minded to everything. You know, I'm like, play that 80s synth there and do this, and I feel like that's from all the little from after the age of 15 till now, it's like producing and composing was all I found it all myself. Do you know what I mean? I went in, I looked at YouTube, and I didn't know how to like mix or anything. So yeah, literally producing was just like I'd find one guy, or he'd find me through the band I'm playing or something, and he'd help me a bit. He'd be like, yeah, let's try to make a record for you. So I'd started learning very slowly. I stole some things from my college. Sorry, college. Last day of college. I stole a little Tascam box, a little MIDI keyboard. I was like, fuck this. I'm taking it home. I'm going to make some beats because nobody uses them in college. So I took them. And yeah, and that's what really kind of started everything. Just tackling things on my own, and so many producers and mixers telling me I'm shit. And like, and I was like, cool, that's calm. But I really enjoyed what I was making. My homies were like, rah, you're making this out of nothing. Like they knew the process, but obviously showing it to a professional, they were like, you've got loads of time to grow. Like you need to. And I was like, cool, I'm young, I'll do it. And it's the point where I've realized it's a blend of, you know, just your ear. You know, producing is your ear. It's not really numbers as much as you think. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you got to learn techniques of how to use software, hardware, a lot these days, you know, predominantly software. But yeah, like you can never lose that creative side. And I feel like that was what I found in myself, like just to how to like stay creative and always be creative. Do you know what I mean? As a producer. So it's like, I'll offer my clients something a bit more than just a mix and master. Do you know what I mean? If there's something that I hear that really can be excelled, we might go back to a mix. Do you know what I mean? And we might go back to a recording. They might hit me up again and be like, yo, you know that thing you said, bro? Yeah, I recorded that, you know, try adding that in now. They send me a little stem of their vocals and I send it to me. And then them themselves, like, I won't even say anything, but them themselves will be so much more happier with the product they have, and that makes me so happy. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, man, it's more of like a
shout out to Toby, where you at? Great single he released. Yeah,
so it's more of like a collaborative effort between like you and the artist. So it's a bit more kind of, you know, they entrust you with doing a good job and then working together, and they almost come to that realization themselves, man. That's commendable. But going on to your own stuff, man. So when did you start singing? Because you've got a very kind of unique voice. It works really well. It's very kind of it's kind of very specific aesthetic that you've tapped into. Do you know what I mean?
I
Kind of the
that.
bedroom, poppy, lo-fi, but as much as it's familiar, it's still unique to you. Do you know what I mean? And I'm kind of like, especially with Born a Lady, the single that dropped recently from the recent EP. It's just like got that. It's got that like James Brown, I believe, sample. Definitely. It's like a real slapping beat, but very kind of like sinister vocals contrasting over it. And it's completely different sonically from like Sally, the one that you released previous to that, which was more of like a real kind of like slow summer jam. What kind of headspace were you in when you wrote Born a Lady?
I watch a lot of Prince. I listen to a lot of Prince.
I can tell, man.
I'm so glad I chose him when I was very young as well, around 15, 16. Like, I'm glad I chose that guy to listen to, because I'm still listening to new shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I pick like, I don't know, like, shout out to like all of them, but like, I don't know, if I picked like Nickelback, I'd be done by now. I mean, everyone's done by now. But
come on, man, it pulls apart there, man. Nickelback and Prince.
I'm so glad I picked Prince. Honestly, it was like, when I say picked, it's like I listened to a few songs and I was so invested to listening to more. That's what I mean by picked. You know, my flipping phone. Sorry, but yeah, it was and it's crazy. I have a lot of friends that appreciate my feminine side. I was always kind of, because I grew up a lot around girls. I'm an only child, and predominantly my childhood friends are all now women. You know what I mean? But yeah, we were kids, but we were all girls. Like, I was a girl with them, which was where kind of Born a Lady came from. And I had this weird idea through listening to Prince and through looking at him, and he is just fearless, man. That guy was fearless, and I aspire to be somebody like that. You know what I mean? I aspire to break boundaries like that. One day when the budget is better, when I can, you know what I mean? You got to be careful with these things, because you really don't want to look mediocre about it. You know what I mean? If there's a specific real style, you know, Prince had production around him. You know what I mean? That's what really made him shine, as well as his own skill. So, you know, being a kid, it's like you want all that, but you know what I mean? You're like picking rags from your mom's like wardrobe, like, yeah, trying to look like Prince, and it's just not working out. You know what I mean? Like, figuring out myself was so important in the whole long run. You know, like I don't wear things like Prince. I might do in the future, but for now, I'll wear what I like wearing. You know what I mean? And I'll be who I want to be.
Yeah, now, man, exactly. Prince is Prince, Kian is Kian.
And I'm me, exactly. And I think it was difficult, you know, when you say your voice, you started with that one as well. You said about my voice. It was like trying to figure out where my voice was and what my voice was. It was like I didn't have any professional training on my voice. I had some on piano, so I knew what melody was, scales was, harmonies, things like that. I had a very good idea about that, but I didn't sing, and not a lot of my homies were telling me to sing. There wasn't it was more like, don't sing, no, just don't. I mean, it was. I don't want to. Milton Keynes was a very closed-minded place. Do you see what I'm saying? So once there was one cat that was doing stuff a bit weird, everybody would be like, "Why are you being so weird?" You know what I mean? And it was like that. And it still to this day, I think about it. And my mates are like, "Bro, you need to let go, man. Like, don't worry about what he said all them years ago." Like, I do you know what I mean? But it was such a. I'm so glad I did those things. You know what I mean? It was such a learning curve for me. But singing was just trying to like. And just over time, just trial and error. Do you know what I mean? Like listening to my favorite artists, and then kind of trying to. At first, yeah, I was singing like them. You know what I mean? Like that's how you first figure out yourself, and then kind of realizing that, you know, if I want to, again, going back to why my music should exist, like as an artist, why people should listen to my music. It's like well, it needs to be original to me. You know what I mean? It needs to be something that I have created. And that goes down to, yeah, even what the tone of my voice is. Like, I've thought about these things.
Yeah, just basically just going through just loads of trial and error with that. And what was the other question that you said? You said something after that about Born a Lady.
That's it. It was where you went a specific headspace during writing that song.
It was just adoring Prince and trying to think like him but not be like him. Do you see what I'm saying? And it was like, I felt this like Cruella de Vil vibe, like when I heard Born a Lady after a while. Like, I'd hear this thing and I'd be like, I want to sound like Cruella de Vil over this shit, like my fur coat on or some shit like that. And then that's where I don't understand, like this kind of operatic, weird, you know, like, I don't know. I just thought of this like very evil woman, but that was just the forefront, you know what I mean? The style of it. But again, the meaning of the song is, yeah, just kind of being rowdy, growing up with girls and being different, you know what I mean? Having all of these ideas, like those hip hop things in the background in my head, and trying to be as cool as possible with myself, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, man, it's kind of a nice blend of your like of different sides of your personality, I guess. All coming together.
Yeah.
Is there kind of any themes that run throughout Lady Jasper in terms of how the tracks kind of tie together?
Yeah, so it's just chapters of my life, basically. It's just every single song, and it kind of goes with age. Everything that I've experienced to this day. Sally was just after, you know, like the, you know, 16 to 19, just being hooked over girls. Basketball was my basketball phase. Like, I religiously played with the homies. The homies know, the ones that are watching. Yeah, I wasn't like the best. I was okay, you know, I was good, but I got somewhere. You know, I was playing for Southwest England. I was playing for Bucks Hornets. Shout out Bucks Hornets. You know, my manager, crazy enough, small world. He played for the same team as me.
What?
He's younger than me, so he played for the younger. And I know him. This is the mad thing. I don't remember him, and he was like, "You're Kian," but obviously I wasn't that good. I was just the older one. You know what I mean? So he was like,
"Reputation precedes you, man."
I was like, I'm so sorry, but yeah, now we're working together, and obviously remembering the same people that we did from our team, that's something crazy, you know. The reason I made the song Basketball is because I wanted to bring back that chapter specifically. That was the last song that I made for Lady Jasper, and that was the chapter that was missing, I think. So going on from that, like Baby Girl, just talking about everything I've said about loving Prince, Michael Jackson, Prince, they were so, I loved them. I was like, why isn't every music like this? But yeah, I still get that feeling now sometimes.
It's weird, man, because those two, like, that you just mentioned, like Prince and Michael Jackson, both so influential, and a lot of people, they're interchangeable for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But they're so different.
You know
that makes sense.
What pisses me off, though, is that, and I love the music that's come up after them and things like that, but it's like two so out of the box people generated such in the box genres. You know what I'm saying? Like, R&B to me these days is so in the box, it hurts. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, people make an R&B song and it's like, okay, it's an R&B song. Yeah, we get it. Cool, sweet. And it's like, I don't want to be a hater. I appreciate so much music out there. It's just, I don't see any more people being crazy, like, in their own way. And the people being crazy is a lot in like trap music that I've been seeing. You know what I mean? Like the rock star is now the trap star. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just that culture has gone over them. And I genuinely feel like it's because of that out of the boxness. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I think with every kind of counterculture, every movement, it comes from kind of young people and what is currently in. So people are saying like punk rock, trap, all of this stuff. Being a bit older, trap, I listen to some of it, but not all of it. It doesn't necessarily like resonate with me, but I still understand that it's a movement and it's not necessarily for me. Do you know what I mean? And it's one of those.
It's so valuable, and that's something that I feel like R&B has been too either. I don't like too many elites telling people like what not to do with R&B. Do you know what I mean? It's like, do whatever the fuck you want, bro. You know what I mean? Take this song, put it on its ass, and do whatever the hell you want with it. Like people like Sir, you know, like big people that I've been seeing, you know, they're still pushing these boundaries. And Steve Lacy, for example, he's pushing these boundaries. But there's a part of me, there's a little devil in me that's still wanting more from them. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I don't know what that is. Maybe I'm being too naive. Maybe they are like doing something that I can't even comprehend if I tried. But to me, it's like, I just want a bit of like that rough around the edges feel again around everything. Because, you know what I mean? Michael Jackson, Prince, they had these songs that were just like outrageous. Do you know what I mean? And you don't really hear R&B that's so outrageous anymore.
Yeah, man. It's
so-
a weird one because conversely, like, as much as, yeah, you want people to kind of like break boundaries, but if you enjoy a certain genre of music, you really love R&B, and you enjoy the kind of like the blueprint, and you enjoy kind of how it sounds like traditionally, let's say, yeah.
It's a really good
There's
way
nothing, do you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with, and it's the same with hip hop, you know, like boom bap hip hop or trap, drill, anything like that. If you like a specific sound, or if you're an artist who likes making that specific sound, you do it well, and that's just you, then, you know, props to you. Do what you want. You're an artist. Create what you want. But I am with you, man, in a certain respect. You know what I mean? In terms of wanting something more, and it's always nice to hear people like pushing different boundaries if it's kind of
but
if
again,
they do it with integrity, if it's real, you know, if it's real.
for sure.
Yeah.
But it's the initial thought, you know what I mean? That is what should spark your ideas. And then again, comes back to the point of refining, you know what I mean? It's like that leads you to a thought of, all right, where do I start now? I want to do all these genres, you know what I mean? Let's get 90 tracks down of just craziness. And it just didn't work. Do you know what I mean? That didn't work for me. It hasn't worked for some of my friends that have tried it as well. Putting 90 tracks of different guitar lines and different things, like, it's not going to make your song. Refining and creating one track that speaks what all those 60, 70 tracks did. Do you know what I'm saying? And when I say 60, 70, not all the time, like I'm saying 20, 30 tracks, like guys that produce, you know, Logic, this and that, you know, and tracks and shit, they'll know and stuff. But yeah, they'll know what I mean, man. It's like, you have so many ideas, and in this day and age, I'm so happy to be living in this kind of day and age when it comes to producing on the fly. Do you know what I mean? Because you really can just plug in your guitar and play. You don't have to go to some guy and pay him to do that. You know what I mean? And I'm so thankful that I went in and was like, if I'm gonna produce, I don't want to do that. You know, there's some people out there that are still doing that, and my heart out to you guys, man. Just get an audio interface and don't worry. They worry about perfection. You know what I mean? People that do that, I think, worry about perfection, and I think we're past that. You know what I mean? Technology will give you that. Technology will emulate that. And to the point where it's like creating our sound of now. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not analog, but it can sound dirtier than analog, cleaner than analog. Anyway, it's so flexible. And it's that I'm literally playing around with. Do you know what I mean? I'm not keeping inside of the box of what Logic lets me do or what Universal Audio lets me do. I'm trying to blend these sort of things with my own ideas, with, you know, actual, fundamental things that a producer, mixer, master needs to know. You know what I mean? There are some stuff that you cannot avoid, you have to do, and you've got to fucking sit there and learn. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, but other than that, man, be creative. You know what I mean? Again, it goes back to that. We're just going and
it always will, man. It always will. But I mean, the way people digest music's different. You know, people have shorter attention spans. You need to, what you were saying, kind of refinement, finesse what you're doing, and focus on like one single versus, you know, like a lot of tracks.
Yeah.
And think. And is that an approach that you're taking yourself? I know you've released a few singles leading up to this EP. Man, I've got to say that is it Quente? That track where you're all like on a bike and it's really psychedelic, and I was kind of hoping you'd rock up wearing the moustache and the wig on this interview. That would have been jokes.
I was like, as a meme, I was like to my mate, I was like, should I wear some shades? So we were halfway on the same thought. That's funny. But Kane She Was, that's a great example of, you know, throwing shit to the wall. That is like crazy, the amount of like stuff that I did there, and it turned out really jazzy. And I didn't even, you know, music theory only like recently have I been really tapping back into it again and like trying to go even further with like jazz and like understanding, you know, true harmony, like extension harmony. You know what I mean? Stuff that you play on top of things. You know what I mean? That just sounds just like. And yeah, Kane She Was like the most naive song I think I've made. You know, no planning, nothing. It was like my homies are Brazilian. I've got hella inspired by bossa nova music. I made something and they were like, put a hip hop beat over that. Because it was just percussion at first with the guitars, and it was so light and thin. And then they were like, make it fat, put a sub bass. I was like, but it's gonna butcher it. They were like, no, it won't. Trust me, just do it light. So I did it. And yeah, again, it was help with these guys that actually like gave me these sort of inspirations and things like that. Like shout out Derek, DAC, Neto, Jane Jaffe, Valenci, however he wants to be called.
Yeah, man. Go whoever's listening, go and check out the video for it. It's fucking jokes as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, that was with Derek. That was literally in my mate Sheridan's studio. And we just again throwing shit to the wall, man. Like we were like,
he could have fooled me, man. It looked like it was filmed abroad.
One take, just one takes, but we did like a few different stuff, and we really didn't have enough time. Like we had like 2 hours, and we got like 30-minute, 40-minute footage, and that was like we were like, oh my god, like that's perfect, that's enough. So yeah, it just kind of naturally. Do you know what I mean? We didn't force anything. We didn't force a production. We didn't force.
Best way though.
Yeah, get the rich cars in. Get the. You know what I mean? I don't know. We just kind of wanted to do something a bit more down to earth. That's just fun. You know what I mean?
Fair one, man. I mean, and speaking of kind of like DIY videos, there's a track that you did. I think it's a real hidden gem for anyone out there. Called I think it's Dragon Ball. Is it Dragon Ball? Featuring the Substitutes. Oh my god, man! I was doing my research before this interview, man, and I stumbled across it, and I was just like, "That's a vibe, man. It's the music I want to be listening to when I'm just chilling out, trying to unwind."
Thank you, I appreciate that, man.
So, do you work with those guys regularly? Because they
listen to when we're chilling out and we're vibing, so that means a lot, man. We do the same. So, yeah, that was with Derek and Neto. And Derek, if you can hear the drums, that isn't because we meant it to be like. I mean, we meant it to be like that, but he really couldn't play drums. Like it was the first ever time he picked up the drums. And you tell me, I think
natural,
great, they were fine, but that was the whole point. It was the meme. Do you know what I mean? We wanted to make it a bit memey. We wanted to make it a bit fun and less serious. Do you know what I mean? Because I had like Kane She and Frio was such serious songs at the time, so I really wanted to show people like who I really am. You know what I mean? I think that's such an important thing to show yourself, like to not be afraid of that, because everyone's beautiful, man. You don't need to worry about your looks. You don't need to worry about anything. Just
come on, man.
Self to the world. You know what I'm saying? Show
yourself. Yeah.
Want to see that no matter what you look like, no matter what people will love it. And because predominantly it's backed up by your music. And if people love your music, people will love you. And that's kind of the mentality that I'm trying to keep, because it's so easy to be self-conscious. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, like I don't want to, like, do you know what I mean? Oh, what if people don't like it? What if people, you know what I mean? And I know so many musicians that, have to prove to themselves by showing their homies. And sometimes my best advice is, I was like, do you love it? Like, is it something that you love? Like, he's like, yeah. Like, I put all my work into it, all of this into it. I was like, well, there you go then, man. Like you will learn, release it, do that. You'll learn from that. You know what I mean?
So I mean, with a lot of doing this podcast, I listen to a lot of hip hop. I get sent a lot of music to listen to generally, and some stuff I like, some stuff not so much, and it's finding time to kind of listen and appreciate music on my own terms again. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I have to step away from it all and have to kind of discover new things. So when you were put on my radar and I listened to it, I was just like, you know what, man, this is going on, like Sally's on all my playlists now, man, like my personal playlist full of like all kinds of random stuff like jazz, blues, world music, which is a kind of step aside from hip hop. I listen to a lot of hip hop, do you know what I mean? But yeah, that is I really, really rate your stuff, man. I mean, if anyone listening doesn't know this guy, hit up Kian for fucking hooks, rappers, producers, hit him up for hooks.
Yeah,
like, just listen to his music. This guy, man, honestly, like, and big fan.
You touching on that, like 100%. Like, I'm down to like anybody who has even questions about like how I've done some stuff. Like, I'm not. This isn't. I'm not a magician. This isn't magic. This is hard work and just being practical. So anything that anybody's ever curious about or anything, or if it's a question you need to ask or work you need done or work you want to do with me, like I'm always going to be there answering. So it's
man,
it's my life.
And it shows, man. I mean, from what I've heard, it's also clear that you know how to structure a song, which is I know that sounds like a really obvious statement, but you'd be surprised. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's bars, sometimes it's just like a long meandering verse that leads to nothing. It's clear that you understand song structure, which you kind of alluded to through your upbringing and all of that kind of stuff.
I just like keeping people on their toes, man. That's it. I like songs that go like this, not like that. You know what I mean? Just go up and down, and emotions go all over the place, and you don't know what you're feeling. But second time you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, no, that's it. That's fun.
Yeah, man, 100%. I think it just sounds so good, especially like, you know, in this era at the moment, everyone's kind of like digitally streaming like singles. It's kind of playlist culture, all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you think that like this generation has the patience to listen to an LP like and listen to it like fully end to end and appreciate it anymore?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, man. I think it's the time for that at the moment because you're not spending money a lot. I mean, you're buying your subscription to Spotify or Apple Music, but it doesn't really feel like you're spending money on an album anymore. And that till about this year, I hated the fact that, you know, we're not getting our flowers as much as, you know, people in the 70s, 80s, 90s, you know, noughties did, because of this music streaming. But then I just thought, like, how can we go forward with this? Like, how can we see this as like a truly like a new age, a good thing? And that is creating like stories, creating projects that people are going to listen to because they didn't buy it. They, you know, when you buy something like it, I remember this. I couldn't afford the album, you know. I'd be like, I really like these 3 songs. I'm just gonna buy them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you can listen to the previews, but you didn't give songs a chance because you couldn't afford them. You know what I mean? that's it. Or, you know, I didn't uTorrent that much. Like every time I did, I'd mess up my computer. Like I'm not a music geek. Like a computer geek. Like I couldn't get things. I mean, you don't even need to be a computer geek to do that. Like I'm just that like not good with computers. I always give my computer a virus doing that. So it was just it was literally like I used to go out buy CDs, or if I didn't have enough to do that, I'd just go on. I do remember iTunes. You know, iTunes is still about 99p for one song, or like £3. You calculate, you're like £3.50 for that. I was young. Do you know what I mean? From like the age of like 14 till 20, something like that. Do you know what I mean? And until streaming came out, I think I was like 19, 20, like 18. I don't know, maybe before. I'm not sure. Maybe it's been out for like ages, but I just knew about it then. Do you know what I mean? It became like seriously commercial then, around my age. And yeah, I think now people will listen to your LP. Like Derek proved it to me. Do you know what I mean? Like we released, I was like, dude, are you sure? Like, you don't want to put a single out first? He was like, nah, he's somebody that, you know, will put his foot down for what he wants. And that's great because that definitely reflected back onto me. And he wanted to release a whole flipping, you know, project. And the feedback, you know, we're always chilling together. So when people are like giving him flowers, I'm seeing it too. And we're looking at it, we're getting happy over it. And it's like, you can see that the people that really have listened to it, they're like, they really understand. They go and subscribe. Like you have some long-term fans that come back. Like, and there's like a body of work to show to the world. Do you know what I mean? That I think people will digest it more. That's my opinion. And that's kind of what finally made me want to do my own project. Do you know what I mean? Like I getting all the ideas together, I was like, it's time for Lady Jasper. So.
Good man. I mean, I think I have this conversation with a lot of people and I get kind of like various different responses, but most people are kind of like, nah, it's a singles generation, playlist generation. So to have that answer is kind of is refreshing, you know.
Something else I want to touch on as well. Songs are becoming shorter. So LPs are actually becoming a thing with short songs. So you'll listen to an LP. For example, Lady Jasper is only 14 minutes. It's 6 songs. I know like an Anita Baker album that's like 7 songs and it's like fucking 1 hour, man. Like, because they're long songs, do you know what I mean? Or like, it's like 45 minutes, but it's like you get these bite-sized like stories from people. And you know, it's been doing that. Earl has been doing that.
Did you listen to Whack World by Tierra Whack? That's like the prime. I
actually have not. Is it something
that's
to look?
It's the prime example of what you're talking about. Yeah. Check her out, man. That was a really like solid project. I think it was last year that it dropped, but every song's under a minute, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm
getting this vibe from you know, Mike, the rapper.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's incredible, man. He came to Brighton Electric here and he just blew me away, man. That was insane. Him and his homies came down, like didn't overdo nothing. You know what I mean? Came down in their trackies or like just like chilled coats. Like they brought like Brooklyn with them, man. They brought their hometown with them, and it was like you felt that. You really felt that. It was so personal, and like from then on, like I really even further. I just kept on looking like Navy Blue, a lot of Navi, like a lot of artists that make these like bite-sized stories that are like flipping wicked. Like you'll listen to the whole album and you want to listen to it again. Do you know what I mean? You don't, it's that cumbersome feeling. And again, this is like going back to, you wouldn't pay 99p for a 1 minute 30 song. You know what I'm saying? So this is it's good because it's giving you that platform to release a shorter song that you know could possibly get like popular. You know what I mean? That, you know, will at least it has a chance to get popular. But yeah, again, this is from experience, and maybe in 3 years this will all change. So God knows, man. So,
yeah, man. I mean, like, what's kind of in store for you next after Lady Jasper? You're just gonna let that ruminate for a while?
Bite-sized project coming after. So
okay, man. Okay.
I got a whole thing. I got it's all been done, and this was done during Corona, and you can really hear my paranoia and sadness through it all because there was a few people that I knew affected by it, their families affected by it. I was scared by being affected by it, my mum, my dad. So you can hear that a lot through the songs, and it's going back on and other ideas. You know what I mean? I always blend like a meaningful idea with like an idea that is for the show of it. You know what I mean? I think those two go really hand in hand. They're like yin yang. It's like something that has its own pizzazz, but has its own like thing about it. I don't know how to say it. What makes it like sellable? What makes it cool? Do you know what I mean? What makes it contagious? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the deeper meaning. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it's not just that. Do you know what I mean? It's
it's striking a balance, isn't it?
It's striking that balance, and it's like, and that's what I'm basically the creative and the flashy side that I wanted to do was basically interpret Motown and interpret 70s music.
Come on.
My way, 60s music mostly my way. And it's you're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear it, and it's gonna be crazy. I don't want to say anything about it too much yet, but it's it's basically blending all that fear about, you know, Corona, what's going on, what's happening there. It's like so current because, you know, Lady Jasper was so like in a way like biographical. Do you know what I mean? About like such a long span of my life, but
it's like an introduction as well. It's kind of like this is everything that.
Yeah, but this EP that I'm going to be releasing in December, hopefully, it's going to be called XL, and yeah, again, it's only like 12 minutes long, and it's like got 6 songs. So you do the math; they're pretty short. Yeah, but I've made sure that it's going to be something that I hopefully. I mean, when I listen to it, I made sure that, you know, the last song connects right back to the first one. So you just want to keep listening. It's like a weird little trippy loop that you're stuck in, like, and that's kind of where I want to go. But yeah, playing on the ideas of 60s music and looking at so many cool like artist pictures and then like listening to their songs. I get this thing where I get disappointed because they're so old-fashioned and they're so like and it's like and it's like, bro, that picture could have been like the hardest, like coolest tune. But that's just what people build in their head about an image until what they actually go listen to. Do you know what I mean? And maybe that's happening with people like, you know what I mean, like young people now, like people that are like 8 years old, 9 years old, like seeing like Slash, but then listening to his music and then being like, nah, I don't really fuck with this. I like Travis Scott. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. You know?
Yeah.
But it's that look, it's that image that inspired me to, what if I created what I thought that image was? Do you know what I mean? In my head, you know what I mean? So what if I brought this image to life of what I thought it could be? Do you know what I mean? And that's basically, yeah, the kind of stylistic inspirations that I took for the next EP.
Just for that, man. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll be out in December.
Yeah, man. I hope so. Everything's in place for it at the moment.
God knows no one's looking forward to Christmas this year. Fucking hell.
Yeah, for real. We might be releasing some physicals for it as well. So yeah, there's a lot in store. So Lady Jasper is just kind of the intro to everything. You know what I mean? I want people to enjoy it and to be expecting more, not to think that that's it. You know, it's only.
I should hope not, man. I should hope not. But I mean, again, anyone listening who hasn't heard Kian's music yet, go and seek it out on all kind of good platforms. subscribe to him on YouTube. Honestly, go and seek out his music and support the guy because he is sick.
Love to you. Thank you very much for that. That is, it really does mean a lot that it connects to other people. You know, it's something that I only dreamed of. So it's already one box ticked from like what I wanted from my music. You know.
Hey man, I'm a fan. So before we wrap things up here, man, is there anything like specific you want to plug besides kind of the Lady Jasper EP out now, or is there anyone you want to shout out?
I want to shout out, go and listen to Cam Thomas, guys. Go and listen to this motherfucker. He's part of the team. You know, we're coming up with some real nice shit. He was like homies from the beginning. And yeah, just watch out for the team. You know what I mean? Watch out for Season. Watch out for Season. Type that in and you'll know what that is on Instagram. Type that shit in. It's a label and they're coming up with some amazing stuff. So it's like, I want to shout out everybody around me at the moment. You guys know who you are. Derek the AC, all you, man, for getting on with what you guys are doing too. And yeah, keep in tune to everything I've got in store. There's going to be a music video coming out shortly after the EP drops. And I'm not going to tell you what song yet, so it's going to be a little surprise. And yeah, and that's it. Just keep in tune.
Yeah, man. Shouts to Derek DAC. That You Take the Piss Like Kidney Stones bar really got me in that 3-0 track. I was just like, yeah.
So much, man. We were like, should we keep it? Nah, fuck it.
Yeah, keep it in, man. Keep it in. I'm glad you did. Respect to that.
The first ever session me and him ever did together. That session where he rapped, that was done before Random Shit. Even though Random Shit was released before 3-0. That was the first ever time me and Derek had worked in a studio together, and I was like begging him. I was like, just come and he was so classified. He was so like, no, I don't do that, man. No, I don't collab, man. I'm not good enough. I was like, yes, you are. Come do it. And then he did it, and it was amazing. So, well, to me, anyway. I mean, hopefully.
Respect, man. Respect. But for KIANVSLIFE, thank you for joining us on the podcast, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me. And yeah, tune into this podcast because this was fucking awesome.
Hell yeah, man. Lady Jasper out now. Go listen to that. Peace.
Peace. Love, man.